Hello and welcome back. Our next presentation is Pavle Zvekic. Pavle Zvekic is a composer and pianist from Serbia. Zvekic founded the Youth and Jazz Rock Festival, a music festival based in Subotica, Serbia, aimed at showcasing emerging young performers and bands from the Balkans and beyond, as well as international artists and Berklee College of Music students and alumni. He recently released his debut solo piano album, Small Hours. Pavle's committee member is advertising and marketing professional Daria Hiraral. His advisor is Assistant Professor Patricia Zarate. Please welcome to the stage Pavle Zvekic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. My name is Pavle Zvekic, and I'm honored to share my Culmination Experience project with you. My project is entitled The Youth Jazz and Rock Festival Meets Global Jazz. It is my personal exploration of the effects of implementing educational elements into a music festival. Before I start, I would like to thank my advisor, Patricia Zarate Perez, and my panelist, Daria Hirala. So today, I will guide you through my journey in the music festival and event management industry. I will discuss my inspirations, the outline of the educational program, the musical analysis of my compositions, and my future plans. Afterwards, I will take questions from the audience. So, the Youth Jazz and Rock Festival was founded in Subotica, Serbia in 2018. Serbia has been facing a lack of governmental support for cultural events in a political environment that led to the closure or impending closure of many artistic hubs in my hometown of Subotica, Serbia. However, despite these challenges, the city is filled with young, creative individuals searching for inspiration and cultural exchange. I grew up attending numerous concerts and music festivals, many of which have gradually dwindled and disappeared from the Serbian cultural scene. My father was involved in organizing the European Film Festival Palić in my home city of Subotica, Serbia, which takes place, of course, at the Lake Palić in Serbia. And my mother's career in marketing and advertising has allowed her to support many of these cultural events. Naturally, as a child growing up in such a family, I assumed every person makes a festival when they grow up. Motivated by the decline of culture and inspired by my parents' work, I founded the Youth Jazz and Rock Festival in 2018 at the age of 16. When the festival first began, it mainly featured artists from the Balkans. However, I noticed that both the audience and local musicians became inspired when we started including artists from Spain, France, the United Arab Emirates, the United States, Switzerland, etc. I was fortunate to do this as a student at Berklee College of Music, where I had the chance to meet many amazing musicians from the mentioned countries and establish a lifelong musical relationship. As a result, I witnessed more similar artistic and personal relationships emerging from my festival that come from different countries, including the United States. This was achieved through masterclasses taught by Berklee students who performed at the festival, and 2 years ago, a Berklee professor, Marko Đorđević, who is an award-winning drummer based in New York and teaches at Berklee. Thus, I began noticing the societal impact that my festival could potentially have. After being accepted as a student at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, I had an opportunity to travel to Panama and attend the Panama Jazz Festival and see how the educational program of the festival, alongside with the Danilo Perez Foundation, influences the local community beyond just the few days of the festival program. Inspired by the long-term effects of the Panama Jazz Festival program and the new relationships established at my festival, I decided to expand on the educational program of my own festival, aiming for the same longevity. So the educational program outlined for the 7th year of my festival, which will take place this year from August 16th to August 18th, will be divided into 5 elements. Composition masterclass, an improvisation workshop, a music pedagogy masterclass, a discussion panel on the potential and danger of artificial intelligence in art, and last but not least, a masterclass on Berklee Global Jazz Institute concepts. Now, I've decided to dedicate my musical focus to this area, this last area, and have taken the chance to compose each piece based on a specific concept I've thoroughly researched and studied at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute. First of them being Pan-Africanism and Pan-African influence in rhythm. So in my composition, The Sacrifice, I explored the influence of Pan-African musical traditions on swing rhythms in what is widely considered the rhythmical foundation of what we now call jazz. The composition explores the relationship between 6/8 rhythms and 4/4 rhythms. The basis of the rhythmic structure of the composition is rooted in a rhythm that is deeply studied at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute called the Abakwa. Now, for those of you who haven't heard that rhythm before, it goes as follows. And it can be felt in many different ways. Now, the name Abakwa comes from the Abakwa Society, a men's religious society that originated in Havana, Cuba, in 1836 to resist slavery. The society's roots can be traced back to the Ekpe or leopard societies of the Cross River region in what is now Nigeria and Cameroon during the 18th and 19th centuries. In this composition, I also explore the phenomenon of fear training. It involves listening to the ideas of the musicians that you're playing with and adapting to their spontaneous ideas on the spot without the definitive notion of what's coming next, but always being ready to adapt. In other words, it's the practice of being comfortable with the uncomfortable. So without further ado, this is a fragment of the composition called The Sacrifice. My next piece is called Aideano. It's actually a Balkan folkloric melody from the Serbian tradition. I had the opportunity to blend the culture of Serbian music with Ottoman folkloric melodies. The melodicism of Serbian music has been heavily influenced by the Ottoman tradition during the period of the Ottoman Empire, and despite the great pain that the Serbian folk went through during the period of the Ottoman Empire, I aimed to illustrate the bridge and the mutual respect between these two cultures that have coexisted in their melodic core for centuries. Therefore, I incorporated a traditional Turkish instrument, the balama. Additionally, this folkloric melody is entirely built on two contrasting tetrachords. The minor tetrachord, which darkens into a Phrygian tetrachord in bar 11 of this melody, supports the narrative of the lyrics. I also explored the different ways of treating the 7/4 rhythm, which is something that we talk about at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, how to make different odd time signatures feel different and how to feel them differently. The song Aideano is a song of celebration, describing the story of a couple who is in love, who is ready to sell all their belongings just so they can dance together forever. Simply, people from two different countries can celebrate their similarities, despite their complex historical relations. And that's what we're trying to achieve with this melody. Thank you. Lastly, I explored the act of improvisation, Berklee Global Jazz Institute concept that can be described as a practice of improvising in a compositional manner, in a piece entitled The Downward Spiral Portrait. This three-movement suite aims to illustrate the harsh reality of severe burnout and emotional exhaustion that I have faced while trying to balance out my artistic career and my undergraduate and graduate studies with managing a music festival in my home country. In addition, the piece aims to present the ways in which I have found peace within the anxious nature of my life in the past 4 years living in Boston, Massachusetts. As you can see, the piece starts with a piano drone that illustrates the chaos that goes in one's head after going from one task to the other. And over that, there is an improvised vocal counterpoint of two vocalists who are trying to find peace within that chaos. And with collective improvisation, we arrive to the next movement of the suite. So every new movement of the suite is achieved by compromising. Thank you. Here's the second movement of the piece. So in this movement, we arrive at silence and peace and explore how that leads us back into the old state. Thank you. And last but not least, the third and ending part of my music. We arrive at a vocal solo culminating and illustrating the breaking point in one's mental state. And then through an improvised melody, we cue back the second part of the suite where we end the piece in peace.
sa 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 ni sa re ni re sa ni sa 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 ni sa re ni re sa ni sa re ga re sa ni re sa ni sa ni sa sa re ga ma pa pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa ma ga re sa re ga ma da ma da sa ma da ni da ni da sa ni da pa pa ta ma ta pa ma pa ta ma ta pa ma pa ta ma ta pa ma pa da ni da ma pa da ni da ma pa da ni da ni da pa ma ga re ga ma pa ma ga re ga ma pa da ma pa da ni da ma pa da ni da sa ni da sa ni da ta pa pa ta ma pa ma pa da 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 ni da ni da ni da ni da pa da ni da ni da ni da pa ni da ma ta pa ma ga ma ga re ga ma pa da ni da ni da ma pa ni da ma pa ni da ma pa ga ma ta pa ma ga re ga ma pa ma ga re ga re
Thank you. That concludes my music. Thank you. Shortly, in terms of my future plans, I would like to keep connecting Berklee College of Music and the Berklee Global Jazz Institute with my festival. I would like to bridge the Balkans with the United States through my project. I would like to create a Berklee undergraduate scholarship for students from Serbia. And I would like to gain an audience of at least 1,000 people a night. Right now we have between 300 and 500 people each night of the festival, and 3 nights of the festival every year. And last but not least, using the Youth Jazz and Rock Festival, I would like to fight the environmental crisis in Serbia that we are currently facing. Here is my bibliography. And last but not least, I would like to thank the musicians and mentors involved in this project, and especially Mr. Danilo Perez, Patricia Zarate Perez, and Marco Pignataro, and my panelist, Daria Hiralal. Thank you.
Woo! Congratulations, Pavle, beautiful. And we're going to start with our guest, Daria Hiralal.
Thank you. Thank you, Pavle. So I have 2 questions for you. First one is, you mentioned that as a part of your panel discussions is going to be artificial intelligence. So can you give us some more details about it? Like elaborate a little bit more?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question, as this is very important for me, and I think for a lot of us here who are facing this new issue of AI in music. So AI in the present moment is limited to imitating music that is heavily, quote-unquote, boxed in simplified stylistic components of prominent musical genres of popular music. So the less original one's idea is, the easier it is to imitate through data collection of millions of songs that strictly follow these stylistic components to win the streaming platform algorithm, basically. And therefore, it's actually our duty to create music that is truly original and unique, that doesn't try to box our ways into such like stylistic components. So in other words, no software can imitate the deeply explored and often later abstracted personal story, especially when there's a lot of research involved in how to express that emotion. So what I'm trying to emphasize with that masterclass with Uroš Krčadinac, who is a Serbian software engineer and a writer, is how can we ethically use AI in different art forms. And a great example in music is how we use AI in mixing and mastering our products. Often there are certain mixing and mastering rules that will make our songs sound universally acceptable. And I see no issue in using such plugins in popular digital audio workstations such as Pro Tools and Logic to enhance our mix and master. That to me is completely ethical, as the creative process itself is not being as compromised. However, there are also unethical ways to use it, which is asking it to write a melody for you or chord progression or to generate a beat and things like that, which I personally consider a bit lazy and inhumane. So my focus on this particular panel is how do we use AI as a tool to help our humanity and to help our natural expression rather than to create something instead of us. So that's mostly gonna be the focus of that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last one is, one of your plans is to gain 1,000 people per night. So I'm wondering how you are planning to achieve that. What's the message that you are planning to let's say, address to your target audience?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So one of many ways in which we are trying to increase the amount of people who are attending our festival this year is by making a wider program outside of the music program itself. Now, as you saw in this presentation, a lot of that will be workshops involving improvisation, all of those musical elements, such as the discussion panel that we just discussed. But also, we got the green light from the artistic director of the program, Marco Pignataro, to show the Balkan premiere of the new documentary of Joe Lovano that's been made about Joe Lovano. So we'll have a cinematic approach at the festival as well. We will have an art exhibit by Dalia Koller, a visual artist from Novi Sad, Serbia. We will have DJ sets that involve showcasing music from these different traditions that we are exploring, alongside with some popular music. So in other words, it draws a wider audience. And we will have a fashion show. So we will have a very rich, and all of this has been confirmed. None of it is fictitious, of course. And in our marketing campaign itself, we will highlight the fact that there's an alternative for the ways that the Serbian youth can be can have fun while also being educated. So that's our marketing plan to gain the 1,000 people that I'm hoping for. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Daria. Patricia.
Hi, Pavle. Congratulations. I wanted to ask you about, first, how important is folkloric Serbian music for your festival? And what are the ways in which you will incorporate that into your festival?
Thank you so much for that question. That's a very important aspect of my festival from the very get-go. And we've always, in our festival programming, we've always called artists or implemented artists and bands who explore this music in different ways. A great example of that is a band called Ethno Jazz Orchestra from Belgrade, Serbia, that combines ethnic elements from Serbian folkloric traditions with actually Pan-African folkloric traditions, which is where I also drew a lot of the inspiration from my music, except that I had the unique privilege to learn this from the narrative of Maestro Danilo Perez, who is, of course, more knowledgeable on the topic. So ever since we've engaged them in the second year of the festival, we made sure that every year we have at least one performer who deals with this. Now, our goal for the 10th year of the festival, with enough budget and organizational possibilities, would be to actually involve very prominent artist in the global folkloric scene right now, called Božo Vrećo, who is a Bosnian vocalist who really highlights how the tradition can be transformed into something new, and how that can be applied for wider audiences, as he already played places such as Madison Square Garden, etc. Now, hopefully we will get to that, but I think we're on the right path with involving at least one performer that deals with this folkloric music every year. So that is one goal, actually, that we have for the festival. Thank you so much for that question.
Pavle, first of all, I heard that today is your birthday.
Yes.
So let's clap for Pavle. Woo! Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You weren't expecting that one, huh?
No, thank you.
Okay, so the second thing I want to tell you is, and I know I made this comment in class, but to me it's remarkable that, a student and a young student like you has already established a festival that now is in its 7th or 6th edition?
This is going to be the 7th year, yes.
The 7th year. So that's really inspiring. And also I find very inspiring your music and specifically, I mean everything, but I really, really enjoy your suite specifically. My question, I was trying to formulate this, I hope it makes sense. I would like to know how your vision of the festival now has changed after you visit the Panama Jazz Festival, and secondly, musically, coming from your previous pianistic influence as a piano player, how this year changed or added to it?
Thank you. Those are two great questions. So to answer the first one, after visiting the Panama Jazz Festival, I realized that the masterclasses and the workshops can be just as effective, but not necessarily organizationally complicated in aiming for only a world-class performer, an artist who's a huge name, who can then teach its concepts. But as we saw at the Panama Jazz Festival, there's this great connection with both the New England Conservatory and Berklee, the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, in which we as students get to present masterclasses on these different topics. And as we're increasing the number of masterclasses this year, this is something that I want to explore. And I've already talked with a lot of artists who are performing this year and asked them to teach on these different methods depending on what the method is. And many of them have already accepted this offer. And I think this allows a wider programming with not such an additional budget, because no artist of high caliber wants to do such masterclasses for free. It's very rare. I think we as a festival have to become very popular and have like such a respectful reputation to get to the level that a huge artist wants to do the educational element as well. We are not there yet. So that was one huge shift of perspective, that we can have the students and the young performers who are in the organization helping out in that aspect of things. So, and that creates this communal atmosphere of the festival. So that was one of many ways that that Panama inspired what we're doing. And as I said, the longevity. I think this involves more young people working with young people and inspiring each other, and counter narratives that are not usual for that part of the world, for Serbia. So that's one of the many ways that I took that inspiration. And to answer your second question, I don't know where to begin, but I'll be very concise. I'll try. There are many ways that I grew, in my opinion, as a piano player at the Global Jazz Institute. First of all, there was something that Maestro Danilo Perez mentioned in his comments to Alejandra's presentation before, which was this idea of playing the changes or playing what the harmonic movement of a piece dictates versus improvising in the moment based on the rhythmic structure and the development of ideas starting with simple melodic cells. And this exploration of tetrachords, those simple four-note melodic cells, and how they can be permutated and played in different inversions, totally changed my approach in my melodic language. And with classes such as Jerry Leake's World Percussion class, and the emphasis on the abacuar rhythm in Danilo Perez's workshop class, I began to implement these different ways of feeling rhythm and therefore implying different subdivisions with that melodic information. So it's so far away from playing the changes. But I still feel that my originality, hopefully, hasn't been compromised, not compromised. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavle.
Thank you.
Maestro Danilo.
Pavle, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations and happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday. That's it. It cannot. It's not. It's not like a coincidence. There must be a meaning. What this is falling in the day of your birthday. So, really, really glad to see that you are connecting these two desires. You have the music and then the desire for the festival to keep growing. So congratulations on that. I just have a couple of comments, I think, that probably could expand on this concept. Like, I would bring this music to the community and try all those pieces with the dancers, that I would love to see that. Send me a video of that. I'd like to see that. And the other thing, the only quick comment I have to make, that piece, the downward spiral, that's gorgeous, man. And I'd like to, personally, I would like to hear that in an orchestra with you playing in it, like.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, not just with strings or like woodwinds or flying. And I want to say, congratulations. I encourage you to continue on this path. Remember to keep humble it's important. Music is such a sacred place and allows for growth as human being, and keep growing musically and keep growing as human being. Keep trying to keep those together, and keep, when you're playing, keep wishing all those things and dream of the public you want to see. And remember, if those dreams are not scaring you, keep dreaming more deeply. Okay?
Thank you.
So
Thank you so much.
And great to see this project.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please give another warm applause to Pavle. Happy birthday too.
Thank you.